First you tell us that it is manly to keep your word. Alright? If you are a man, you keep your word. And now all of the black people in this country are demanding, and even the black people in the whole world are demanding, is that you keep your word. You told us we were free. Well then, show us that we're free. You told us that there is justice, equality for all in this country. Well then, stick to your word. And let us see the justice and equality for all. Or else admit to us that you're not a man. You're a word. You're afraid of us. You're afraid to give us equal stand. You're afraid that if you give us equal ground, that we will match you and we will override you. And if that's what you're afraid of us, then tell us that that's what you're afraid of. But don't keep hiding it from us and holding this up to us, and every time we ask you for something, you give us a little bit of something, and it's all tokenism. We don't want tokenism. And there are most black men in this world that don't want charity. And yet still every time we ask you for something, you give us a little piece, a little piece. You're playing games with us. We're not children. We're big men. I've seen my father have to put up with all kinds of stuff. He was a big man. He raised a family. He went down south, and he had to go around to the back door with his wife. We're not asking for anything. We're not asking for any favors. All we want is what's ours. Now, there are many black veterans who are coming back, and they're mad. They're angry. Do you think that they're going to sit down through this? Our fathers didn't have the knowledge that we had. They sat through it. But there are other black youth that are not going to sit through it. We know about Kerr. We know about Fanon. We've read the books of our revolution. We've listened to Mao and his quotations. We know where we stand. We're not going to sit for it. We're asking, and if we ask and we don't get, we're prepared to stand up and take it. If I ask a man, I tell a man I am hungry. I tell him I am cold. And I ask him to do something about my condition. And this man holds a loaf of bread right in front of me so I can see it, and I keep asking him, I'm begging him to please give me a slice of the loaf of bread. I am hungry. Then it is known by every psychologist that the next step in the progression is I am going to knock him upside the head and take the bread from him. I'm not going to starve to death. All we're asking, no one wants to see blood. No one likes the smell of blood. No one wants war. Anyone who's been in war doesn't want war. Everyone knows what it is to see the inside of a man's gut hanging out and see your friends die, see relatives die. No one wants to regress back to the state of mind where you have to think it's all for the cause, therefore my mother has to die, my wife has to die, my brothers and sisters have to die. No one wants that. But you're pushing us to it. You're leaving us no choice. We're asking, we're begging. The students up at Columbia, they ask. The brothers down south ask. The brothers in Latin America, the brothers in Africa, they're all asking. All they're doing is asking. Our fathers asked. Our grandfathers asked. The presidents of our universities, our colleges had to go to your back doors to beg that their children be given just enough money so that they could be taught something to live off. And yet still they ask and ask and ask, and you refuse to give them anything. Now, we're just about out of patience. We're not going to ask anymore. The news media says that it's only the young that are militant, only the young that want this and want that. Okay, but we're 40% of the black population now. Or we were a year ago, and still yet we're climbing. Before long, we'll be 50%, 55%, then we'll have the command. We're not going to take it. We're not going to take sitting in rotten parks and in places that just aren't fit for living. We're not going to take it. There's a limit to a man's patience, and everyone knows that God, Christ, heaven, everyone knows that what we're asking is not $1 million. All we're asking for is humanity. We're asking to be allowed to live like human beings. And God, you tell us that this is too much to ask. You're sick. You're definitely sick. How can you tell me that it's too much to ask to be a human being?
Yo, if I had 100 sheep and one of them got away, I would leave the 99 and go find that one. That's right. Look from the locks and jaws of Satan, I come creating, penetrating with force from the land of the lost. I'm coming like Muhammad got the devil on the run. Rising like the sun, keep your eyes on the one. Look on base, here to bring forth a reborn nation, up against the norm, creating a new formation. This foundation that I be standing on is firm. Look, y'all, we must learn, or as a people we gon' burn in the fire. Let's join hands with the Messiah, the Lamb be Elijah. For real, I ain't no liar. My deepest desire be to resurrect the carcass, breathe like venom, then squeeze out all the venom with momentum and skill. We'll kill Satan at will. You and I be connected, protected by Ezekiel's will. For real, I can sense a mental explosion on the move as God's chosen. Proceeding in motion, we become, yes, indeed, the parts of forming. Running about her, cause Babylon is falling, living all in the midst of devilish anguish. His aim is to kill us all with this language. He's the mischief maker, plus he's wicked by nature, the modern mind shaper. So hey, will Jacob wake up the lion? Where he's in Judah sleep, I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. Look out, I see a lion. Where he's in Judah sleep, I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. Now look, for 4 days, he's been sleeping in the tomb. Fed like the zoom, no light, it's like the moon. His blood be maroon, plus it covers the earth. Crucified daily, waiting this new birth. For real, the truth hurts the wicked evildoer. He knows that the future will bring a new ruler. So look, don't let him fool you with his maneuvers and wisdom. Seeking, you'll find that he uses symbolism with this rhythm. Black will represent the hesitant brains. Hit the water down the flames and sort out the remains. Everything must change, nothing stays the same. Our struggle's been ordained, so just chill, maintain. I know it's strange, but look, one came to raise us up. Farad has arrived, beware, don't self-destruct, keep the focus. The red dragon's coming with the locusts. Some don't notice, so they engage in shit that's bogus. But look like Moses, I'ma free you from your bondage, from those who oppress us, wicked, evil, demonics. I promise that I'ma flaunt this everywhere I go. My people gotta know, so I can't hold it in no more. For real, the pressure's on and that be the fact. We gotta resurrect quick if we expect to be hereafter. Look, I can see disaster, it's all in our midst. It's the shock of the hour, man, the clock be stuck on 6. I wonder, who can fix this problem from Zion? I'm in the wilderness trying to wake a dead lion. There's a lion where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. Look out, I see a lion where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. Now peep these bones as they lie, still dry in the valley, buried under rubbish. Darkness covers the body, there's no consciousness, there's no breathing, no pulse. Walking dead in Israel, be that sheep that's lost. Guided by the false image, they don't know what sin is. In their forehead be a mark that reads crooked menace. It's continuous bleeding, therefore repentance is needed. Wickedness can be defeated when we submit, it's deleted. This beast be heated, he knows the fire's kindling. The curtains in that land of Midian be trembling. I see assembling a large number, many men, coming from out the grave to never go back in again. Lazarus, come forth, remove that napkin, take it off. The force be with you, so lion, let him hear your voice. I can hear the roars coming from daily tribal wars. Flesh wounds and scars be like all over the stars in the river of blood. We be swimming in sin. I see the lesbian and the million feminine men. These days be numbered, the end is right in sight. Behold, he comes quick like a thief in the night. At the head of 10,000, he be moving to fight. Burning coals at his feet, look, observe the plight. In the bottomless pit, they be falling, still dying. Who can save the lion and bring him home to Zion? There's a lion where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. Look out, I see a lion where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. There's a lion where he's in Judah asleep. I wonder who will wake him, bring him to his feet. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. The violence of this beast must cease. There's a lion where I wonder who will wake him. Get up, lion. Did you think we was gonna stay down forever? A new day. 19-9 Chevy. Beware, Obama back. For 443 goddamn damnable years. The cop is laid strict. I see eagles gathered everywhere. got it. Come on. Don't stop.
Warning. You're gonna have to bear with me. I've never done any kind of like live streaming video, so just bear with me because I got some stuff I gotta share. Just has been on my heart as of late. I'm gonna be all over the place. I'm probably on a ramble, but my thoughts are so congested right now, and this is the only kind of catharsis that it is to actually, at least in my mind, bring some relief to all of this. So, I've had some pretty difficult occupations as an adult. Since the time when I was like doing construction, I've always had some form of job that related to law enforcement or whatever. I've worked in Alaska. That was backbreaking. I am more mentally and emotionally drained over the course of this last week than I think I've ever felt. And I've never done a live video because nothing has ever, I think, warranted the gravity of it. So, with that said, so I had to have the talk with my son. And this is the thing about it. The talk you're thinking about, that would actually been easy. I can explain that. That's birds, bees, biology. So he asked me, Daddy, who's George Floyd? I was like, I can't sequester him from this any longer. So, and I think it's age appropriate. He's a young man, he's 13, you know. It's a rip. I have to have a conversation with him. I can't protect him anymore. And those who are parents know how impotent and just helpless you feel when you know that your kid, there's only so much you can do for him. So with all of that said, I couldn't explain it. I'm like, and he sat and watched it, that video in Minneapolis in its entirety. And the thing about it is that I can kind of deal with that, but even that still struck a chord and that cut deep with me. But what hurt me the most is that having to explain this to him, I could tell him he lost a piece of his innocence. I can tell you that without a fact, without a doubt in my mind. Emphatically, I can tell you that. I know my child, as you should know your children. So I couldn't explain it to him, you know. It just like I was at a loss for words, and that's actually a rarity for me. But it was chilling to have to watch and go through that and try and explain that to him. Even more so because my child, he sees me put on a uniform every day. And hold on, let me put a little caveat. I'm not speaking in any capacity for my agency. This is just my beliefs as a person and where I feel at this point in time. So it was mind-boggling to me that even transpired and took place. It was so much to the point that it's really taken me this whole last 6 days to absorb it and try to process it myself. But it happened on its own timeline. I'm cool with that. But, you know, we all absorb and deal with stuff a lot differently. Hold on, I'm gonna set a timer because I can feel myself just running over at the mouth and talking. All right, so 20 minutes stops. This goes off and stops. I don't claim to be no subject matter expert on anything, but I still have a moral compass and it's not completely askewed. I've never trained where my present position is in the agency that I am at in Lafayette. I've never trained anybody there. But I will say this. I've trained Iraqi police, the DOD, said I could do that. And this is not being boisterous or trying to be like some blowhard or anything like that. But the Department of State, I've mentored, I don't know if you can see it. That's, of course, it's all backwards, but so Afghanistan police program. And I was a mentor and advisor. So basically we got the Afghan police, the AMP and whatnot. Shout out to my Don Corps people out there. I will say that to say this. If the Department of State and Department of Defense said I could do it, okay, I'm gonna do it. There is no way that those people's actions or what they did is completely indefensible. Completely. I can't even explain it. To the point that it's been vexing my spirit as a person just having to do this and still go on and deal with normal adult stuff. You know, between the COVID, the killer bees or hornets, wherever they're coming from in Asia, and just everything else, it's a lot. I get that, but this is something different, y'all, and I just hope that y'all recognize this, because if y'all don't see that there is a systemic problem that is plaguing us, and this is not just about skin tone, melanin, whatever, you know, whatever tribe you're claiming, cool. We're all grafted into one tribe, supposedly, that's a whole nother story. But point being is, there's definitely something wrong with how we view each other. And I think it's the fact that I'll go ahead and say it, stop praying. When you no longer can recognize that you were created by a higher purpose and another being, and you can recognize that in somebody else, that's empathy, that's sympathy. I have cousins that look exactly like Floyd. And this is the thing about it, how his life was just so cavalierly extinguished. The dude's calling out for his mother, and if you look at it, okay, just from a standpoint of being somebody who is going in total, like 10th year of law enforcement. If you got somebody in the prone, handcuffed, on their stomach, and you can't control them, you are using the wrong tactics. Point blank. So you're telling me it takes three, to subdue an already handcuffed dude, and in light of all of the other stuff that's coming out with him being beat in the back of the unit and whatnot, it's deplorable. It's deplorable. There's no other word for it. I'm not going to bite my tongue on it. There's a lot of stuff boiling up inside of me and whatnot, but it's worrisome to the point that I, with a full heart, put a uniform on any day. And I love doing it. I love the leadership of our whole parish, all the municipalities. The reason that stuff doesn't happen down here is because we actually have leaders and there's safeguards in place. Point blank. Use of force that you operated outside of policy, you're going, trust me. And there's people that I still rock with who had to leave for whatever reason. Cool, I understand it. Made a bad decision, understood. We all do it. But there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. And what's more troubling is that seems to be the norm of what we're existing in right now. It's like, it's almost, we're so desensitized to the point that it's like, listen, I've and this ain't me, chest pounding or whatever and whatnot. I'm way past that. I'm getting too long in the tooth to be in a pissing contest or measuring my junk with anybody. Nothing to do with that. But I picked up fingers and body parts to ID people in Iraq through biometrics. I'm okay with that. Cool. There's 3 other people who could have intervened and stopped that. And I can say completely that has never happened in front of me. Ever. Ever. Not to know. Ever. And I would never let that happen. To the point, being that I know the law and the parameters that I have to operate in, I've really been questioning myself, had I been in Minneapolis on a vacation or just visiting somebody and would have saw that, you're obligated as a person, as a human being, to do something about that. And I just don't understand where the disconnect is. Look, I'm not trying to assign blame to anybody. I'm not trying to... We're past all of that. It doesn't even make any sense. Not gonna help. What I'm saying is that he did that, and he did it without remorse. That's what's most troubling for me. So I got to think down the line, and I understand what my father was talking about when I was running the streets growing up. I didn't know if you were going to come home at night. So my son's looking at me for answers. He sees me put a uniform on every day, just about every day. And I can't explain that to him. He has lost a part of his innocence in his... I could tell he was just as flabbergasted as I was. But we have to start seeing each other. If we start looking at each other through a lens of, okay, I don't care about political lines, affiliations, or whatever. You can't govern morality to people. You just can't do it. Vice, all of that other stuff, you cannot do it. You can't. There's a difference between being, I guess, amoral and moral. You have a moral obligation to not let something like that happen in front of you. And I'm not saying do no wild stuff. Look, I gotta still put a uniform on every day. When I go places, when I'm catching up on paperwork, I gotta find places where I can back in my rear end first, just in case somebody doesn't shoot up on me. So, with all of that said, I'm not even saying I have the answer. And trust me, this is more like catharsis for me because I just can't internalize this anymore. I have lost sleep behind this. And more so to the point, it's like, what if, God forbid, 10 years from now, my son's traveling or one of my loved ones, somebody I hold dear, happens to run across somebody like that in the same mindset? Y'all might not have known Floyd. He was somebody. He meant something to somebody. That's it. He was a brother probably. He had cousins, had a father, had a mother. Don't know the extent of their relationship. Regardless, he was so cavalierly snuffed out and everything taken away from him. And the thing about it, it didn't have to happen. It did not have to happen. That's my whole thing. It's like it's something that could have been completely avoided. And I know it ain't a policy issue because what he did, there ain't no way you can do that. No, you cannot. That's positional asphyxiation. You can't do that. But the thing about what was so heinous and callous about it is it didn't register on that guy's mind at any point in time to, maybe I should back out and stop doing this. More so disturbing was the fact that nobody else decided to speak up. Again, look. Again, just for context purposes, trained Afghans and Iraqis. Been to, and that's not me being boastful, just contextually speaking, I'm just trying to say, like, why I'm saying this. For the simple fact that we have to do better. All right, so this is when I went through the academy. This is my certificate. All right, this is something called a post. Every state has a post right here. Louisiana Post Council. POST stands for Peace Officer Standards and Training. Let me rephrase this since you didn't. Not police officer, not sheriff deputy, peace officer. We are supposed to bring a calm to a situation. When all people lose their minds, everybody can't go crazy at the same time. We have to be that voice that steps in and be like, okay, let's chill. Peace officer. The first time I went through the academy, and I'm gonna reference a couple people because they were like pivotal people that I think came into my life at a certain time. So here's the first time I went through the academy. All right. That was summer of '99. Lead instructor was a Francis Green. Told me something that completely changed my mind. He was a CB, great at it, he had that, but the can-do attitude. But even at the age of 22, when I turned 22 in the academy, I was able to absorb this. We serve at the pleasure of the public. By general consensus, we've all entered into this whole thing, this contractual thing called society, and we say we're going to play by the rules for the most part. Cool. You cannot govern and you cannot expect to have the respect of the population that you're supposed to be protecting if they don't trust you. Like, I don't understand this. Cannot understand it. Like, and this is keeping it real. We literally are hanging on by a thread. Like, people don't see this. I'm lucky enough that I can, like, I guess God decided to bless me with some discernment and whatnot. But you cannot do, nothing can take place without security. Nothing. In churches, in schools, I'm now, love my current position. School resource officer. Absolutely love it. Found my call. It's beautiful. It really is. It really is. What's more pure than actually being the guardians of the future, protecting kids? I am so cool with that. I've done it for the Department of State. I've done it for Department of Defense. It is ingrained in me to want to protect people and actually do it. So that's why I have such an issue with this, because we are not doing that. We are losing the faith in just the basic trust of our populace. And the thing I've learned is taking me up to these 43 years to understand this. Trust is something, once it's broken, incredibly difficult to repair. And the frequency on which we're doing everything is just, it's ridiculous. Botham and Dallas, the other thing, I can't even, my mind's so cluttered right now, I can't even recall everything that's been on here. But I don't know, man. This has been. I've had some rough times in my life, but this last week has been a lot to have to absorb. And I don't know. It's just it's difficult to the point because I see people as just that. Just by the grace of God that I'm not on the other side of the equation. I mean, a couple bad decisions I made, and I made some stupid ones. So, and that's also confirmation. The dumb things that I have done in my life, not even work related, just stupid positions that I found myself in. It's God has me around for a reason. That's the only reason I can say, because he would have been completely in his power to have taken me, and there wasn't nothing I can say about it. So, I don't know. Like I said, we have to do a lot better than what we've been doing, man. Because this is just ridiculous. But I would be remiss to not talk about on the other equation of it. Like, I recognize everything, but I also see it through the lens of law enforcement. Not everybody's like that. Please believe it. And I say that with all sincerity. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Yes, there are some bad apples out there. Of course, there is. But there's more of us good ones, and the good ones will never let nothing like that happen. And I'm challenging everybody I know who's in law enforcement right now. If you don't speak up and say something against this, like actually against it, and just validate the fact that we're having problems, if you don't condemn what took place, I'm unfriending you. I'll give you to Friday. You got to put something up, because silence is consent, and I can't abide by that. I can't abide by that. It's just there's no way possible that anything every fiber of my being is not gonna let me do nothing like that. So, but give law enforcement at least the benefit of the doubt. We are working on some things. We got to fix them, obviously. The first part of recognizing the problem, first part of addressing the problem is recognizing that we have it. But for the most, we want to make it right. Like, I can't think of any critical incident in our parish, in our jurisdiction, that wasn't warranted. It really wasn't. But it's not only that, it's the fact of doing, even when you can do something, you don't always have to do it just because it's in the letter of the law. I was trying to find some kind of letter of recognition. We have the kind of leadership in place that will recognize. They recognize, even there was an incident that happened in a place called Eldicon. Went in there, dude's literally shooting a gun off, comes to the door with a broken revolver with the barrel missing. Didn't drop it. I can understand that there was a communication problem. Probably within the letter of the law, if he would have came up half an inch, we would have been justified doing it. But thank God for body cameras, that it recognized it. We were commended for doing, I don't even want to say the right thing, but because both of them probably would have been right. But we chose not to be that heavy-handed. And it's just something that's just missing in people in general nowadays. We don't recognize the other person as a person. And that is a huge problem. That is a huge problem. But again, with law enforcement, give us time. because we have a lot of stuff to process. Stand by 1 second. So, this is on my fridge. This was the last in line of duty shooting that we had. And actually, at one point, I go and say, I went to go interview like years ago, like 7, 8 years ago, something like that, to interview with the PD. And he was the person that I had to do my ride-alongs with. And when I say most genuine, good-hearted person, and there's no doubt in my mind that the night his life was taken, if he would really had a chance, this dude was a gunslinger. You have to process that, and then just for contextual speaking, I'm at a Cracker Barrel getting some gas, see the vehicles pass by that are giving that notification that nobody else wants to get, and then we get a call, somebody else got murdered. You're like, this can't be real. Not twice in one night. Regular Joe Blow citizen, but law enforcement, they're dealing with a lot. And all we ask is that you give us patience and work with us. We're not all like that. I promise you we're not. We're not. Greatest job I have right now is being a school resource officer. Nobody else can tell me otherwise. And I don't think anybody can do my job better than me. And that's just because it's, in its purest form, you're protecting children. But with that said, you still got to look at it. Floyd was somebody's child. Granted, a couple years, a couple decades over, but he's still somebody to somebody. And that's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand. You got probably 4 or 5 types of people who go into law enforcement. You get the ones who it's a kind of a family thing, like their grandfather was whoever and wherever, and their dad did it, and so now they're doing it. There's other ones who really don't have any other job aspects. Let's just keep it real. They have no other job aspects. Like when I came in, the oil field was taken out. Slew of applications. People coming from the oil field. Well, I guess I got to get a real job. Okay. Then you have people who see it as a way of, I guess, gaining respect. And please understand this. There's a difference between commanding respect and demanding respect. 2 different things. 2 completely different things. If you was a punk in high school, you got picked on and thrown in the lockers, you're going to be a punk with a badge. There's no 2 ways about it. There's no 2 ways about it. Point blank. Point blank. Just because you put a weapon on your hip, doesn't add interest to your manhood, and the fact that you can assert your will on somebody, the gravity of that, there's nothing worse than that. We meet people at their absolute worst times. Nobody likes cops. Everybody loves firefighters. I get it. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Nobody actually wants to have to listen to a police officer. I don't like being told what to do. I don't. I get it. I said all that to say this. I don't know, man. This is just, like I said, this is just a lot to process on all of this, man. Bro. Everything that's in you, that, like, I got picked on unmercifully as a kid. Oh, yeah. Growing up out the east in New Orleans, it was real. Got ran inside many a time. Got knocked out a couple times. Finally grew a pair, started knocking back. But that was such a pivotal, and it emplaced in me that I don't want anybody to ever feel that and not be helped. Because I've been in helpless situations. It's emasculating. You feel impotent. It is absolutely, it humbles you. When I was 22 and still thought I had an S on my chest and could, whatever, go out and just was trying to make a name for myself and whatnot, you're 22 for a reason. At 43, I understand how fragile and delicate life is, and that tomorrow's not promised to anybody. And it's so much. Since December, I have lost 11 people that were very close to me, and that's really a humbling situation. 2 of them, people served with the military, and I'm not going to go off on that tangent because I'll start talking about, but the suicide rate for that is absolutely ridiculous. This is the thing about it. If we would stop being so cavalier toward each other and start recognizing each other as who we are, we would solve a whole lot of our problems. But we don't. It's us against them. And we're being played by people. We are really being played by people. Spiritual wickedness. But again, that's something else I'm not going to go off on. I don't know. It's really hard when you lose your bearing on something, because this has been really hard to deal with these last couple of days. I mean, I don't know what else and how else to say it, but I don't know. I already went over my time, so I'm gonna get off. But I'm so serious about that. I will be actively checking my friends, especially the ones who I'm 10-8 with. If I don't hear something, I mean, at least a post or something saying that is not us. Okay, definitively, line being drawn in the sand. We will stand apart. I promise you this. And I'm not saying that but thank you. You're going to show your true colors. And you know what? That has to. We have to sift through all of the wheat to get through the chaff and separate it. Real talk. And people who I know what I'm talking about, they know what I'm talking about. But this is absolutely deplorable. And hey, we've had leadership saying, hey, if you're not with us, you're against us. In this instance, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Silence is consent. And I can't stand by. I've worn many a uniform. I've been gimped up, sent to Walter Reed, got spat on, yada, yada, yada. Cool, whatever. But even after the uniform changes, you still have to be the person that you have to live with and be comfortable with. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to have to give an account for everything. There's no way I can let this pass and not say anything. Okay, I grew up in the NO. I grew up in Jefferson Parish in Metairie under racist-ass Harry Lee. Put it to you like this. The first time I ever dealt with Jefferson Parish police was at the Lakeside Mall, and it was a Hispanic deputy. And granted, we were kids. We were hanging out in the parking lot, being loud, causing attention, doing what kids do. Gets out, told us to disperse. But we were being loud, plus he had a heavy accent. Couldn't understand him. I was like, what did you say? And I understand my tone probably was not the best, but I wasn't meaning in any kind of malicious or I wasn't trying to go against the grain or challenge his authority. But looks at me, proceeds to get out, pull out a PR-24, hit me in my solar plexus, and I was like, okay, all right, well, this is real. Even through all of that, that was such a pivotal, and I would not change it for nothing in the world, because I was like, this is not right. How that resonated with me, and I knew it wasn't right because I just got the wind knocked out of me, this is still on that same level of decency to say that is not right. It's not. It isn't. It is not right in no way, shape, form. And the bad ones are making our job a lot harder. You really are. So I'm gonna get off because I done went over my time like I said I wasn't going to do anyway. But man, this is like my spirit is vexed behind all of this, because I got on the normal face of being a dad, when I come home, get on daddy detail. Hey, daddy, how was your day? I can't share all of that with him. And more so to the point, it's like, I still have to get him abreast and up to speed on stuff. Like, Clyde, when you get stopped, if you ever get stopped by the police, it might not be somebody I know. They might not know you as a person. They might not recognize your last name, even though he has the first, middle, last name, different suffix. But I can't in good conscience, having had that talk with him today and not express what's really on my heart. And this has nothing to do with, like I said, this ain't no political, nothing, furthest thing from it. This is about just being a decent human being. Point blank. I don't care about who you roll with, if you fly rebel flags or whatever. Cool. If your heritage means that much to you, so be it. I'm gonna put it to you like this. Being in a combat theater is probably, it's like a pressure cooker. Hottest day I ever had in Iraq was 141. But it's a pressure cooker in the sense that you can only keep up a facade for so long. Went over, had no training with these people, literally thought I was gonna die as soon as I stepped off the plane. Hand to God, I was like, okay. Made it. Get to the unit, no cohesiveness with the people I'm literally like gotten thrown in the mix with. And first deployment was into Crit. If anybody knows geographically what that is, that was Saddam's hometown. All right, but I said all that to say this. There was a guy in my unit, and I'll be honest, I had a very preconceived idea about him because Alabama, drawl, Forrest Gump's cousin. All right, rebel flag on his door, cool. Like, all right, well, you know, no worries. But also you got to think through the lens of, and I understand it might be your heritage or whatnot, but is it really that much to the point that you want to be so divisive and people feel that strongly about? Sometimes you have to acquiesce, and I'm not telling you not to do it. Okay, cool, fly your flag. Point being is, we literally, and that's the great thing about the military, when it's all said and done, we don't make policies, we enforce them. I don't care about what's going on stateside. In its purest form, shared hardship builds camaraderie. It got to the point that, you know, Shep, I'm gonna put you out there, Shepard, you know who you are. It's like, when we went outside the wire, I prayed that whoever was on my left and on my right cared about me enough to do my job, like I was going to do it for them. In our subculture, in its purest form, law enforcement is, when it's done right, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. It really is. But I'm talking about when it's done right, not what we're going through right now. This is preposterous to me. It's just, and it's a systemic thing. Like, went home for Mardi Gras. Those people are still in the damn Hard Rock building. Like, they got a tarp, like, the bodies have liquefied. That is how cavalier and people just going on, you know, drinking their hurricanes or whatever. But again, you can't get somebody out over 100 days. Listen, man. Leave no man behind. A lot of people use that as a punchline. Other people really use it as pillars for their life and what defines them as a person. You can't tell me that what he did to that man, he valued life. And he's fractured inside. That whole hurt people, I get that. Cool. But the blank stare on his face, he has done that before. I mean, it's coming out on his record. I've been in law enforcement for over 10 years. trained, like I said, Afghan and Iraqi police. Was on the ERT with the embassy, the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, which is de facto a part of the U.S. Petraeus, Bremer, all of them walking around. If I can get, and this is again not me being boastful, I'm just trying to put it into context. Out of all of that, even if I didn't have all of the training and everything that was being poured in me, and I know enough to know that I don't know anything. I've been shooting for half my life, and I'm an average shooter. Dustin without muscles, I'll admit, street light says you're a pretty good shooter. He puts holes in holes. Beside the point, what I'm saying is, I'm just speaking from a position that I kind of know what I've been talking about because I've been doing it for literally half my life. There's no way you can justify that. There's no way. There's no way. I challenge, I will have this conversation with anybody, and if you do, something is wrong with you as a person if you think you can defend that. But it's cool. I appreciate it for the simple fact of you were really seeing people's true nature come out. That is a real thing. That is a real thing. And just the callousness and how just the smudge that's on humanity right now, just how people are just so cavalier about not recognizing basic fundamental rights. I don't think y'all understand. This is like a pivotal turning point in our society. Like civil rights, 60s, bro, this is a lightning rod moment, and we can either do the right thing, capture the momentum, and be on the right side of history, or not. So I know where I'm going to be at, but I can't understand it. It's in my nature to want to help people. It truly is, and it's not a cliche. It ain't a punchline. It is something I believe in down to the fiber of my being. I really do. Every job I've had, sans being in the Army, I've always been in a defensive posture, protecting people. Okay, if you're not familiar with Kabul, capital of Afghanistan, if the Department of State says I can guard our interests there, I think I kind of know what I'm talking about. And look, I'm not Tommy Toughnuts. There's way people out there way much more badder than me, but I am remiss to not say anything for the simple fact that I gotta ask this. What if that were me on the back of that man's neck and that was your loved one? What you gonna do? You can't defend that anymore, man. We need to start recognizing each other as people in go ahead and say it, the God that's in all of us, because we all have a spirit. We need to start seeing that again. The problem, the only thing when having dealt with people who were extremist, fundamentalist Islamists, that they were brainwashed to the point that they have nothing to live for, that is what's wrong with our youth right now. And y'all don't see it. The only reason I even got into being a school resource officer, other than it's the purity of it, is that I have an actual chance to preemptively affect kids in a positive nature. You can't beat that, because some of the kids that were seeing us, the only time they see somebody in a uniform is when we're pulling Uncle Ray Ray that has a aggravated assault warrant out of Arkansas or something. I understand that. Contextually speaking, I understand that. But we are failing our children. You got to keep in mind, at some point in time, these, the ones who are the generation behind us, they're going to be in charge. Are we leaving it in a better place for them, or are we just leaving this in complete shambles and we're setting them up for failure? I don't know. Like I said, there's enough blame to go around. I'm not pointing no fingers. I'm not saying that I've done everything completely right, but I do know that my moral compass is not that askew to say that what I saw transpire was not anything else but murder. So I can't not say anything about that. So. But I rambled on too far enough. This is like I said, the first time I've ever done this, so let's see if I can turn this off. But I don't think I'm actually going to be done because I'm not even remotely, like, my heart's still heavy. So, all right, take it easy.
January 29th, 2021, and by my clock, 9:17 in the morning, and this is my last day at work. So, didn't give a notification, obviously, because this is the notification, but it's not my last day, it's just my last day working my job I love. So, I just want to speak on one subject and talk on that, and then it will go from there. But I'd like to say I have the floor right now, and I would like to not be heard, but just listen. So, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, Green Lives Matter, Brown, this, that, it's the completely wrong thinking. Because even when you say lives matter, you're specifically saying a particular group of lives, like Black lives, just Black lives. You know, the wording in our mind frame, in our perception, in our scope, and the lens that we're seeing it through is that's the wrong thing. Drop all your other phrases, whatever mottos and catchphrases. This is it. Only life matters. Only life matters. Not only lives, but only life. Because I'm leading a life. You're leading a life. We're going through life together. We're not going through lives together. We're going through life. It's weird because it's singular and it refers to my life. I value my life as you should yours. It's not I value my lives because I'm only leading one. So you might have different aspects of it in different parts, but I mean, I'm only leading one thing going in one direction. So I don't understand why there has to be constant division. If we start seeing that only life matters, where might that get us? Where might that get us? Because what we're doing right now is there's not even no word for it. And I'm not just even referring to that specific topic, but just across the board. I'm not talking about economics, anything else. I think if we get back to what the base of what we're supposed to get back to, and that's God, and we recognize that we have a piece of that in us, then we'll see each other in a different view. Because that's the only way you can do that. And there is a God. There's no prove me wrong. You can't. You cannot. I don't believe this is not happenstance. I don't feel what I feel. I couldn't do what I'm going to do for it to be happenstance. There's no way that this is a mistake. You're not a mistake. God doesn't make mistakes. It doesn't. Everything has a direction, has a purpose. I figured out what I was supposed to do. So if you're going by Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, I guess being that I'm both, does my life doubly matter? So I'm like above someone? No, we're putting ourselves in subgroups and categories, and there's no difference between us. There's no difference between us. I don't know what happens over the course of us when we grow and mature, but you see these kids that I'm looking at now, And I'm looking at it through a scope and a view that my normal work day, this was my last time seeing it. I'm not going to see him again. Last wave, they don't know that. Nobody else knows that. I do. But with that said, it's... Our kids... When I say life matters, that means from when it begins, when it starts inside of somebody, to when they put you back in the ground, that time in between, that matters. No argument about it. No argument about it. The ones that we get here, what are we pouring into them, man? Our children are watching snuff films, basically, people getting killed on the regular, and we're broadcasting it to them like it's the thing to do. We are in error, man, and it pains me that it's gotten to this point. But like, what's gonna give if people don't just start living according to what they're supposed to do? Because we done try it every other kind of way. I mean, you know, people are just leaving it on their own understanding and doing whatever they want to do. Cool. Look at the ripple effect of where we're at. This is real simple. Life. What is the opposite of life? Death. There's only two. So, I mean, is there going to be a group that says only death matters? It's a transition to get to that. We got to deal with the portion of that to get to where you are. Well, only afterlife matters? We haven't even started living our lives accordingly like what we're supposed to be doing, and our lives are purposeful and they're meaningful, and we are not treating each other with the respect and the love that we're supposed to, because we do not see each other as we are. Treat each other accordingly. That's it. There's no need for all of the murder. There's a difference between killing and murder. People get killed in bicycle accidents and falling off of platforms and trains. Murder is malice and forethought. It's like, it is so rampant. I can't understand how it's just a thing to do. And I was in the military. I mean, but that's a totally different circumstance. Like, with the stuff that's happening out here in such close proximity to like children, it's really sad that I am, and what we do is necessary, because like there's people who are so twisted that, I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't happened before and has always been like demonic and evil, but as of late, it's like we are, I don't even know. And the problem is we're not giving them another healthy alternative. Like, I mean, the adults are just as bad. Y'all are the ones who are doing. What are the children seeing? Now, I am not perfect. There was only one perfect. I am not him. I am not saying that. I am not perfect. But what I try to do is do right by them. Try to be as good for them as I possibly can. Because I would want that for my children. I do. I, by default, am spending more time with them than y'all are. And I'm not talking about a jab or anything, because, I mean, I got to work too. I'm not with my sons right now. But even with that said, you know, I'm close to your kids. We're not doing right by them. I'm not saying these specific kids. I'm talking about everybody in general, across the board. There's enough blame to be given. And just how we think that we can just do anything to anyone, and like the murdering and the life, okay, well, say it that way, the lives that are being taken, because they're being taken individually sometimes in group mass, it's, I don't know, man. This is beyond me, and I can't think how this has gotten to the point that it's the norm. Nothing else matters but life. Because if there isn't anything there, there's no existence of anything. There's no propagation of anything. It's not going to keep going on. Only life matters. Only life matters. That is it. And you fall under that umbrella, everybody is doing it at once. we're going through life together. It is one experience. It's not like we're going through, separate whatever. I'm not even delving into no nonsense like that. We're going through this present right now. Let's deal with what we're dealing with here in the here and now before we start expounding on other things and try to say that, whatever. Like I said, not a point that I'm going to cover. What I'm saying is we need to do better by each other. Point blank. Point blank. I wake up every day wanting to do my job. Like, I love doing my job. And I couldn't really see myself doing anything else other than this, man. Because it is absolutely wonderful dealing and watching the progression of these little people. And I can't think how we've gotten to the point that we're just letting them be fed anything, and then when they wild out and do something crazy, we're like, oh, where'd that come from? Well, what's been...
It's January 31st, a little bit after 1:30. Last Sunday. So, here's what it is. I was kind of hoping to see the Super Bowl, this one especially, because we got two Purple Knights actually playing against each other. Mr. Tyrann Mathieu and Leonard Fournette. Hope y'all go forth and conquer, and I don't think it's happenstance that everything is going on at this particular time. So I don't know, possibly maybe if y'all wanna, you should. I say take a knee, but you need to figure something out, because this is a moment that can be seized. I think that it should be. So, but yeah, man. I've had enough of all of this nonsense of serving a system that does not give a damn about me or people like me, or just about life in general. And this is my statement. If this isn't something to state that this killing that's going on, especially by the police, which I am, I can't abide by this no more. I'm not having anything to do with this nonsense anymore. Call me what you want, try to discredit me. I have been a stellar deputy in this 5+ years that I've been there. My last email's been sent, it's copied to somebody. I can't be discredited. Never so much as one write-up for maybe some reports being late. None whatsoever. So it can't be said that I was a shammer or anything like that, or I wasn't pulling my weight. And just for contextual purposes, I just want y'all to understand where and what I'm coming from. My entire life has been in service of other people. And it's just dawned on me that this time, as of now, needs to be seized, because you don't really give a damn about us. That is the truth. That is the truth. I've served with a full heart in the military. After that, got back into law enforcement, and you have no idea how hard it is to put a uniform on in this day and age with everything that's going on. None. And listen, y'all entrust me to safeguard your little ones, your small ones, your thing that's most precious to y'all, and I did that well. Y'all trust me with that. I've had security clearance in the military. That's verifiable. If I was untrustworthy, if I was a threat, would they let me guard the U.S. Embassy in Kabul? Which I did. I've trained Iraqi police, Afghan national police, and that's not it. But I wouldn't have been put in a position of that if they thought I was a threat. But that has allowed me to see the inner working of things, And this is a demonic system, and it's not anything I can continue to serve and want to be a part of. And this is not right. This is no form of justice. Let's go down the list. Botham shot in his own apartment. How that work? How does that work? Chilling on his couch. I don't give a damn if he had weed in the apartment. You're gonna execute somebody for that? Oh no, y'all are good for that. You break up families for a plant, this war on drugs and this nonsense. But oh, now it's starting to get legal because big pharmaceutical companies stand to make billions off of it, and they paid off the lobbyists, who in turn have started ushering the way it needs to go for them. The countless people who are doing time behind that. How do you even make amends for that? You can't. You can't. This Floyd, man, Rihanna, this shit is not right. I'm telling you, it's not. If this feels right to you as a person, then something is wrong with you. This is the furthest thing from right. This is the manner of wickedness that bro. And you're getting away with it. When is enough going to be enough for people? Huh? Seriously. Seriously. Y'all are radicalizing people, and then when they buck and they want to go against the system because it's not for them, you come down on them with a hammer. I don't understand this. I do not understand this. It's getting to the point now, let me tell y'all something. Again, I'm gonna go back into it. I'm gonna be wrapping up pretty soon. None of this is happenstance. Do you understand me? None of this is happenstance at all. If you think it's possible that all of this is happenstance with everything that's happened in this immediate area, no. Pellerin, I don't know all the inner workings of that, but between that and just, man, listen, I understand we have a tough job, but we signed up for this. We need help. Because we deal with the bottom rung of society. It does not give us an excuse to just do whatever we want, and that's what we're doing, and we're not being held accountable. And it's just allowed. Not per se in the environment that I'm in, because I don't do normal police work anymore, but I've done it. Look, I was on duty the night Middlebrook got killed. That's hard enough to process when you hear that call come out. I was posted up in front of Troop I, setting up a perimeter, and then they called me. Went back to my normal zone, which was south, Youngsville Highway, see the vehicles going by, about to make that notification. Get another call, another murder. All the stuff that took place that night, the guys who were south with me, we got a letter of recognition because we did our job. That was just one night for us. Police officers need mental health, because you can't tell me what happened in Milwaukee, that should have been caught. That should have been caught. The dude was like an automaton. He didn't have any. It was just completely apathetic. That should have got caught. That is a failure of leadership. It is a systemic thing. Look at it like this. He was the senior most person there. Okay. The freshest person there, the rookie, he was like 2 weeks out of FTO. He's not going to check somebody that's got 10 plus years and say something. He thinks it's the norm. He's just going to go along with it. And that is the indoctrination and everything. It hasn't happened here. It hasn't been around me. But I see how it happens. So all this cold or blue silence, no, sorry. I'm going to be on the right side of this one. And I would rather be considered crazy and whatever they were want to say about me, oh, he was under the influence of something, No, that is the easy cop-out just to say that I am. Because that will then allow a dialogue not to be started. It needs to be talked about. This is insane, about to go off the rails. And I'm not doing it anymore. Loved my job. Loved it. Loved every aspect of it. Finally found something I could call my own and made it my own. And, but this is bigger than that. And I'm not gonna do that. There's no way I can just be like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. No, this is a very big deal to me. This is a tipping point. And just to continue to think that we can just do what we've been doing and just hit the status quo like that and people, no whatsoever. This is wrong. It needs to be resisted against, and you have an obligation and a duty to do that. Because if not, you're complacent. As I would be complacent if I continue just doing what I am doing and not saying anything. I've tried to bring things to people's attention, little small things, but it's a system, and I'm a small cog in this whole big machine. But I'm jumping off. Definitely, no. Come with me. I don't know. I ain't gonna be around for that. That is on y'all. But I can tell you this. There's more good people than bad. Y'all need to figure that shit out real quick, because it's the truth. It is the absolute truth. And if y'all ain't got each other's back, then you're gonna continue to divide and conquer and just sow dissension and everything between people who actually probably make it be a good ally. But this whole system, this thing that was built on free slave labor, and there's no way that this can't implode on itself. We can't continue on. You won't even give us reparations. That's the thing about it. Y'all thinking about money. It's about being decent. And people are so busy calling themselves Republicans and Democrats, they don't even just be a decent person anymore. That is sad. This is a sad state of affairs. We're leaving our children, and we're wondering why they're wilding out, trying to have augmentation and reassignments at 7, 8 years old. This is preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. And y'all let them do it like it's cool. Because you want to be able to get away with yours and be like, oh, well, they're doing that. No, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. So, with that said, no sense in griping unless you actually have some things that you can think that could probably be fixed. There needs to be more civilian oversight, like an advisory committee. I think they need to have term limits, whether they be appointed or elected, a certain amount of hours for being in a ride-along required. Scenario familiarization, put them through scenarios, because the general public doesn't know what we go through. This is it. That night I described to you, that was a bad night for me. That's a bad night for me, just to carry on this. But I processed it. Police officers are exposed to the debris in the bottom rung of society, and then they're expected to keep a stiff chin. It's not affecting them. It is affecting your psyche. I'm telling you it is. You cannot be exposed to that and not expected to manifest itself in some way. Nobody calls the police when they're having a good day. It's the truth, right? Domestics got robbed, something like that. Something you need somebody in a uniform. Your bad day, that might be the first call on my shift that I'm about to have another maybe half a dozen of those. And I'm lucky if they're not as severe as this one. It might be worse. Anyway, so I think it needs to be, along with this committee, they need to have standardized training, like whether that be an abbreviated type of academy, but they need to be familiar with procedures. And they need to be familiar with statutes as per a specific state. But this is what I'm saying, this needs to happen, it needs to almost be based like how everybody was doing their own thing for training before the San Jose model came out. It needs to be structured like that, and it needs to be recognized accordingly, like across the board. Mental health and wellness, they definitely need that. Look, we need, I don't know how you're gonna do it, we get people get one psyche valve or just checkup, and that's in the hiring process. And some people have squeaked through, because I know some cops that should not be cops, honestly. I don't think they have the makeup for it. And they're gonna say, oh, well, he did. No, this not even night and day. Whether it be, I don't think annual is good, because a lot can happen a year, whether it be semi-annual or quarterly. It needs to happen. And it's in the stigma that is surrounding it needs to be lifted too, because that is insane. We need help. People need help. It's okay to say you need help. You get exposed to a lot going through life. But only life matters. That's it. You get exposed to a lot. I understand that. I've been exposed to a lot. Peer evaluations, and that's not something as far as the along the lines of like trying to like be vindictive, but kind of the maybe anonymous red card, blue card thing like we had in going through the selection. More transparency. I understand certain things can't be divulged, but the public doesn't trust us. We are losing the public's trust. We are losing the public's trust. We serve at the pleasure of the public. You lose that, you lose your right and authority to govern. And that is happening. You can't do wicked stuff and they be like, okay, well, cool, we're just doing our jobs. Who are you doing your job for? That's not doing your job. That's a cop-out. That is a cop-out. This is something for me. I thought it would be better just to add in development and expansion of like an Explorer type program. And I know they've had it before, but kids say they want to be cops, but I mean, we're not giving them a reason to do it. And we need to foster more mentorship. And it needs to be like more of some kind of a program to help kids stay on the scare straight. Let's bring that back. Let them see what it's like. But also give them a healthy option and just get them out and just like get them out of their normal hoods or whatever it is. They don't know what else is out there. What we're showing them is the only option we're giving. And then what do you expect? Listen, I'm wrapping it up because I've rambled way too long. Didn't even touch on half the stuff I wanted to, but yeah, this needs to stop. This needs to stop. This is not protest against police brutality and everything else that comes along with it in this broken, wicked, worldly system that does not give a damn about people. I don't know what it cares about, but it don't care about us. It truly don't. It does not. It does not. So, I hope y'all do something with that. And let it not have... No, there's no way that this and the people who have been in touch with me this past week and all this stuff, it has been confirmation that this is, I mean, it can't.
That's what they've been saying, you see. Then you find your identity. We're gonna be ready to take a stand and take control of the life that's in your hands. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. That's gonna be everything for the common man. That's the way to lead all across the land, all across the land. But it's gonna be hard to find. We're gonna select the things that go into our mind. We're gonna shape our own destiny. And all the freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. It's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the land. This I want you to understand. This is the next generation, man.
We've read the books of our revolution. We've listened to Mao and his quotations. We know where we stand. We're not gonna sit for it. We're asking, and if we ask and we don't get, we're prepared to stand up and take it. If I ask a man, I tell a man I am hungry. I tell him I am cold. And I ask him to do something about my condition. And this man holds a loaf of bread right in front of me so I can see it, and I keep asking him, I'm begging him to please give me a slice of the loaf of bread. I am hungry. Then it is known by every psychologist that the next step in the progression is I am going to knock him upside the head and take the bread from him. I'm not going to starve to death. All we're asking, no one wants to see blood. No one likes the smell of blood. No one wants war. Anyone who's been in war doesn't want war. Everyone knows what it is to see the inside of a man's gut hanging out and see your friends die, see relatives die. No one wants to regress back to the state of mind where you have to think it's all for the cause, therefore my mother has to die, my wife has to die, my brothers and sisters have to die. No one wants that. But you're pushing us to it. You're leaving us no choice. We're asking, we're begging. The students up at Columbia, they ask. The brothers down south ask. The brothers in Latin America, the brothers in Africa, they're all asking. All they're doing is asking. Our fathers asked. Our grandfathers asked. The presidents of our universities, our colleges had to go to your back doors to beg that their children be given just enough money so that they could be taught something to live off. And yet still they ask and ask and you refuse to give them anything. Now, we're just about out of patience. We're not going to ask anymore. The news media says that it's only the young that are militant, only the young that want this and want that. Okay, but we're 40% of the black population now. Or we were a year ago, and still yet we're climbing. Before long, we'll be 50%, 55%, and then we'll have the command. We're not going to take it. We're not going to take sitting in rotten parks and in places that just aren't fit for living. We're not going to take it. There's a limit to a man's patience, and everyone knows that God, Christ, heaven, everyone knows that what we're asking is not $1 million. What we're asking for is humanity. We're asking to be allowed to live like human beings. And God, you tell us that this is too much to ask. You're sick. You're definitely sick. How can you tell me that it's too much to ask to be a human being? And God, you tell us that this is too much to ask. You're sick. You're definitely sick. And God, you tell us that this is too much to ask. You're sick. You're definitely sick. And God, you tell us that this is too much to ask. You're sick. You're definitely sick.